Hi guys, we're living longer, and so it's really important for us to prepare ourselves and get good retirement plans. As part of a good retirement plan, we have to think about 401ks and IRAs, and we're so excited today to welcome to the heart of the matter Rich Schuette of AVALAN Wealth, who's going to answer our questions today about 401ks and IRAs, traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, and how to come up with an efficient and effective retirement plan. By the end of this video, you're going to have a good roadmap to how to save for retirement. We're going to go through some case examples and some stories and have some fun along the way. Excuse me. Rich, thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited to be here.
We really appreciate you're a super busy guy, making tons of money, buying boats, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So we're really happy you made some time for us today.
Should have saved for retirement.
Exactly. You should take your own advice. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh. Well, before we get into actual retirement savings and retirement savings plans and the steps to that, let's talk a little bit about your background. I love your story. I've heard it a couple times because we've had some time on the road. We were driving on a long road trip one time for 8 hours in his motorhome, and I really got the full story. But start from the beginning. You didn't always want to be a financial advisor, right?
Yeah, no, you actually want to be more of a consultant.
Okay.
And so I spent my time, went to Cal Lutheran, and had a business degree, emphasis in finance. I thought I was going to go down that road and go be a consultant, go give advice for a living to how people can do things better.
Like a business consultant, right?
Business consultant, right. And so, ultimately, as we go through my story, you'll learn that that's kind of what I'm doing now in a very different way.
Yes.
But it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So where else would you like me to go?
Well, I guess you talk about your father and your grandfather, learning from those people about how best to help people. You have a lot of passion in your life. We spent a lot of time talking about it. You like to help people.
Yeah.
And so I think what was kind of cool about your journey is that you found out how to help people in business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I graduated college, what I realized is that, my mindset wasn't really in that head of being a consultant. And so I thought, well, here's the deal. My grandfather was my hero. He's a guy that the whole world looked up to. You ever have that guy in your life, that person in your life that you just see how people just want to be around? That was my grandfather.
Right, great.
And I always wanted to be that guy, and I'm still working on that.
Well, I want to be around you.
And I hope that's the case for everyone watching.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I was a kid, my grandfather introduced me to his broker, which is, that's what we used to call financial advisors, right, or wealth managers.
Stockbrokers.
Or stockbrokers.
That was my grandfather's job too.
Yeah. And I love that too.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to this guy, and from the time I was 12, and he got me a subscription to Wall Street Journal. He had me follow a stock that he had made his wealth in, and I've watched this man who was everybody's hero. Turn to this guy as his, and I'm like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So got out of college, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do that. And then I realized as I went and interviewed for jobs and went to all these places to be this advisor, that it was a sales job. And I'm like, it's not who I am. I'm not a salesman.
No.
And so I took a job for Prudential, adjusting claims, right? So
insurance, insurance law.
Right. So so when I was denying coverage, this guy here was on my back exactly.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting, way of coming up through the ranks. But I realized that I still had this calling. I wanted to do this, and so I was told that hey, it's sales, so you got to get sales experience. I went out and I actually sold copiers for a while to learn how to sell, and realized that that was a hard road to where I'm at. But so here we are, and I'm actually now working with clients, predominantly with business owners. We're doing consulting, right? Not just advising, not just investment advising. So we talk about wealth management. We're really doing the whole picture, right? Helping people form their plans, not just how much they're saving or how they're investing, but actually how they're making key decisions in their lives to get better results and where they want to go.
I really like your holistic message as far as financial planning. A lot of financial planners just look at, okay, how much money do you have to invest? Okay, I'll do my best to outpace the market, and that's where they stop. Where with you always talked about I guess you learned it from one of your mentors in your life, about it's a holistic approach. It's bring me everything, we'll go through it, and we'll tell you best how to save for the future, how to save for your children, how to save for your retirement, right?
Yeah, well, look, everything that we do in terms of, where we're going has to be goal-based, right? I mean, if we don't have goals, nothing's going to happen, right? If you're not shooting for something, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get there. And so if an advisor is working with a client, with an end user, not taking those goals into consideration, and they're just trying to build a portfolio. That portfolio could be a great portfolio, but completely wrong for your situation, for any individual situation, without addressing where you're going.
You've also mentioned that you have staff to periodically revise the plan. A lot of times stockbrokers or traditional wealth managers will just go through it one time and just set you up for many, many years, but things change. Businesses grow, they go down. Stocks investments go up, they go down, and so that's one of your things at Avalon Wealth is constant you're basically a business consultant management.
Yeah, we talk about we do planning, not plans, right? So for firms and advisors that do plans, financial plans, written financial plans, documents, those things are obsolete the minute you walk out the door from that office when you get it, right? It's gone. Markets go up, markets go down, things happen in your life completely change. So it's important that that's an ongoing deal.
Well, I really am happy that we have you today, because Avalon Wealth is what I believe is the future of wealth management, and it really is wealth management, And so we're really glad to have you today, and I want to talk to you about some key components of a retirement plan, and they're more on the individual side. I know that Avalon Wealth mostly focuses on representing business owners. However, you do have some single individual clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really important to kind of go over for the viewer what 401ks are, what IRAs are, and then kind of take us through the process of how they fit in a conventional retirement plan. So let's hit 401ks. We hear about all the time, people refer to 401ks, 401k that. What is a 401k?
It is truly one of the most exciting things ever.
More than health insurance law?
Oh, it gives me a run for my money.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that we understand this piece of the world is because in working with business owners, we work with a lot of 401ks, right? And a lot of retirement plans for the business owners. And a lot of times they're viewed as just as benefit programs for employees. But for anyone that's out there that's watching this, in terms of, if you are a business owner, it's just not a benefit, right, to give to your employees, but it's also a really, really powerful tool for you to get where you want to go, right, in your big planning, because there's more that you can do there than you could ever possibly imagine. But when you do start to look at it as a benefit, that's where it gets really important that as an employee or somebody that's looking at what do I do, how do I make these decisions, that you have some good tools and some good guidance.
Basically, it's a savings plan for an employee. He can contribute pre-tax income to the plan, and then also a lot of times the employer will also contribute.
Yeah, so I love how you just got me back on track. I was thinking about where we're actually going with the planning, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, so,
that's my job here.
Right. So 401k, actually, it's the name is super clever, right? 401k.
Yeah.
It's actually a section, right? Exactly. It's actually a section of the Internal Revenue Code.
Yeah.
So if you want to go pick up a tax book, that's only about yay high. You'll find it under Section 401, subsection K.
Okay, well, all right, makes sense. Yeah.
And so it's actually written into our tax law, and it allows us to basically save for retirement in various different ways. And it's changed a little bit over the years, and now that with the advent of Roth, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the traditional 401k is a way that you can take money that you are earning as part of your paycheck and set it aside pre-tax.
That's great.
Right before the federal government gets a hold of it, before the state government gets a hold of it, it goes in there. So you're investing $1, you're actually investing an entire dollar. Yeah. It's not being subjected to the withholding in your paycheck.
Tax. Yeah. I've been told that everyone, to the best of their ability, should fully fund their 401k plan throughout their whole working career. Is that a good recommendation?
Well, no, because at the end of the day, it works really well for me in the plans that I'm running. Save. But, it comes back to goals, right? Everything's going to be about goals. And we're going to be at different places at different times in our life with different things going on. And so it's just as bad to be so hyper-focused on doing it and doing it at a cost as it is to not focus on it at all. Okay. So you really got to understand where you are in your situation in your life and what's going on. There are some good rules in terms of what should I really do, and where are you leaving money on the table and where are you making mistakes by not participating. Yeah. But it's certainly not as much as you can all the time. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, let's shift over to IRAs. Can you tell us what an IRA is? You mentioned Roth IRAs. Go through that. Sure. Well, so as we shift into IRAs, so Roth is available in IRAs and in 401ks sometimes. Oh, okay. So actually, depending on the employer and how they set those benefits up, many of you may actually have a Roth option inside of your 401k. So if that's something that's appealing to you from a tax perspective, we'll talk about that a little bit. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I think one of the golden rules, right, in a 401k in terms of what you really should do is if your employer's making a match, right?
Yeah.
Take advantage of that,
Okay.
right? So in other words, you don't have to put away the whole $18,500 that you're allowed to every year, because otherwise you're going to retire, under a bridge.
Yeah.
But make sure you're taking advantage of the benefits that are being put there. So if an employer's making a match, if you're not taking advantage of it, you're leaving it on the table.
Okay.
Now, Roth versus traditional.
Yeah.
Right, the big difference there is going to be how that money's looked at from a tax perspective. So I mentioned being able to put money away tax deferred, right, in a 401k. That's the traditional mindset. When you put that Roth element on it, you're actually not putting that money away pre-tax, you're putting it away after tax.
Okay.
So you're not having that tax savings on your paycheck,
Okay.
right? But what you're getting is you're getting the same tax deferral you get in a traditional sense, be it a 401k or an IRA.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, when you start to spend that money, you take that money out under current law, under current tax law. In a Roth scenario, all of the earnings that you make over those years you're contributing come out without being taxed, right? Whereas in a traditional, when you're getting that deduction for making that contribution, you're paying tax later. You're paying the tax.
They're almost
later.
like opposites.
Yeah, they're almost, in a sense, they really are. So where a Roth's going to be most powerful is when you're younger and you have a longer period of time for that money that you're investing to ultimately start to compound and make a big difference for you there.
Okay. I just saw a question we had from the audience. Rick asks, can you borrow against your 401k monies?
Yeah, Rick, that's a great question. And actually, absolutely you can, but not in every circumstance.
Okay.
So one difference between an IRA and a 401k is that you cannot borrow in an IRA.
Okay.
There's no loan provision. But in a 401k, there is oftentimes, and again, this is going to depend on how the employer sets up that plan, right? If they allow loans or if they don't. But more often than not, loans are in fact allowed in the 401k environment, and your employer, will typically allow loans.
Okay.
And if they do, you're allowed to borrow half of your balance up to a maximum of a $50,000 loan.
Is it a requirement that you pay it back?
You do pay that
Okay.
back, and you
Okay.
pay that back through payroll deductions,
I
just as
see.
if you were making that deferral in the first place.
Okay.
And in most cases, you're paying that back over a 5-year period of time. There are some circumstances where you can actually carry that out over 20. For example, if you're going to buy a primary residence, a lot of employers will allow you to amortize that back over 20 years. And the key to that loan is that you're paying interest, but you're paying that interest back to yourself.
Okay.
Right.
That's
So
good.
so that interest that you're earning, you're actually earning. You're giving that back into your investment account in your 401k.
Well, as a way to get to our solid recommendations on how to plan for retirement, I gave you a case study of an individual, a male who's 35 years old, makes about $75,000 a year, is not married, but basically he wants advice about what should I do to save for retirement. Do you have some good recommendations for that kind of person?
Yeah, for a single person earning $75,000 a year, if you're going to save for retirement, one of the best suggestions I can do is not live in a coastal state.
Okay, not California.
Because it's expensive to live out here for sure.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, in the case study you'd given me, you mentioned he had, this particular person had about $20,000 in savings off to the side. Didn't own a house.
No.
But did own his car. We didn't really talk about debt, and sometimes that debt's going to factor into how you plan for retirement too, right?
Okay.
If you're overfunding a 401k at the expense of taking on extra debt to live your life, that's probably not a good balance,
I
right?
see.
You might want to start to think about how you're funding that 401k as opposed to going into debt.
Okay.
We're not talking about boats here either.
No.
So a couple great rules of thumb, right? It's like you want to have somewhere between 3 and 12 months of reserves. 3 and 12 months of what you're earning, right, in reserves.
In the bank, right?
In the bank.
Okay.
So that 20 grand you talked about, actually for that particular case study, after you think about take-home pay, that gave that person about 4 months of reserves, right? So now that number between 3 and 12, it certainly fits. And a lot of that's going to depend on your own risk tolerances and where you're coming from and your own mindset.
Okay.
Also where you're working, right? If you're working for a startup or a high turnover industry, 3 months might not be enough, right? You might need that 12 to be able to get you through, the unemployment to the next gig that you've
Ups and
got,
downs.
right? For sure.
Yeah.
But if you're seasoned or if you're in a low turnover type of job, 3 months may be more than enough.
Okay.
So balance that as you're thinking about what you're putting into that plan.
Okay.
And then as you think about how you want to save for retirement, like I said, one of the big keys is if the employer's offering a match, take it. It's part of your benefits package, right? I mean, so you're leaving money on the table if you're not participating in a 401k where there's a match for you to be had. So that's always a great
It's
rule
like free
of thumb.
money.
It's free money, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely a great rule of thumb.
Okay.
in terms of how much should I do.
Yes.
Right. Some people sit and say, well, I heard I should do 5%, or I should do 10, or I should do as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But again, you got to balance all these things
All
of
the
what's
factors.
going on in your regular life.
Okay.
Making those
Now,
decisions.
what if that case study, that 35-year-old male, gets married and starts having kids? How does that influence retirement savings?
Yeah, he's going to have to ask for a raise for sure because kids are expensive. I got 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. You do.
And I got to tell you, that's a lot of planning you got to do. A whole bunch of other things start coming into effect here,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
like, what happens if I'm the sole breadwinner? What if my spouse isn't working?
Yes.
And I'm the only one that's working. She's staying home raising the kids. So by the way, there's something called a spousal IRA.
Yeah.
So your spouse that doesn't work can actually, depending on income and how much you're making, but in that case, your spouse could also fund an IRA and get a full tax
Wow.
deduction for doing that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, well, check it out. So we're all learning today.
Well, yeah, we are. We're learning a lot.
But if you're the only one working, if now you've got a couple kids, you're going to need to make sure you've got life insurance in place to be able to, pick up, where your income left off,
Yes.
right? To be able to keep those kids going. Because no matter what you're saving in your 401k, it's first of all, it's meant for retirement.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's never going to be enough that early in the stage to be able to take care of those kids.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. Is it on? Where? It says we're streaming. Sorry, guys, for a little interruption there. Are you getting it? Okay, sorry about that. We had a little, I don't know what we had, some sort of issue.
You absolutely missed the best part of this whole thing.
Let's do this while we have some time and maybe some battery power. I don't know if that's the battery. Are there alternatives? We talked about 401ks, IRAs. We talked about making sure that you do your best to save up for not only yourself but also your family and friends. You're right. I mean, well, in your case, friends. For me,
Yeah, well, absolutely.
for family.
I'm looking out for you, for sure.
But what are there alternatives to doing that?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to save.
Yeah.
You don't have to save in a retirement account. What the retirement account does do is it gives you that tax deferral. It gives you the ability to have that magic of compound interest. But it also handcuffs you in quite a bit of ways, right? That money in an IRA and a 401k and
You
any
can't
of
touch
those,
it.
you can't,
Yeah.
right? You can't get to it without penalty until you're 59 and a half, right?
wow.
For all intents and purposes. There are some little things you can do, but that's really the idea, right? It's meant for later. And then if you take an early distribution from a retirement plan, not only is it going to be taxed as ordinary income, but it's going to be penalized as well, right? So significantly, in the state of California, it's an extra 2.5% over the 10% the feds get to you.
Oh my gosh.
So just a regular brokerage account, right? A regular mutual fund. Sometimes you can actually save inside of life insurance vehicles, depending on your situation and what you need to do. Real estate, to the extent that you have the ability to save up enough to be able to do there. It's like the idea of having a passive income along with an active income in retirement is going to make your retirement days a lot better. So if you can create something that's giving you an ongoing rental income in addition to what you're doing with the stocks and bonds, it's a big deal. So there's a lot of different things you can look at.
Okay.
And it really comes back to goals and having good advice and someone that's actually going to hold your hand through all this and give you the tools that you're going to need to have the success that you really want and that's and reach and do all the things that are important to you.
Well, it's coming to me like it's not a simple process, and you really need a firm to be able to go to and present your full package, whether it be married with children or not married, have a business, don't have a business, own a house, don't own a house, and then have those decisions consulted upon. And that's where I think Avalon Wealth really excels, is that you can bring your full financial picture to Avalon Wealth. They'll do the analysis and they'll tell you where to put certain things. Because a lot of us, while we certainly want to retirement, we want to have a retirement, and we want to keep our funds and know where they are, we don't really care exactly where they are and what baskets. And so that's why I'm so glad that you guys were able to come in today and give us your thoughts on saving for retirement, 401ks, IRAs. It's really, really helpful.
Well, I hope there's a couple nuggets in there for you.
Thank
This
you
was
so
a lot
much.
of fun. So,
If the viewers have more questions for you, where can they reach you?
well, a great place to start is our website. It's
Okay.
www.avalonwealth.com. And Avalon's with all A's. And avalonwealth.com. Or, telephone always works, even though it's not necessarily the way our
We
current...
do it these days.
Right,
Yeah.
here we are on YouTube, right?
But I know
And,
you're on Twitter because I follow your Twitter feed, and you have really, really interesting things to say about the financial markets and about wealth management and things like that.
Twitter, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we'll do some more YouTube stuff here.
Yeah, I
too,
would
so-
love for you to do that. I would love to participate. I've also put Rich's links in the comments below, so if you do have more questions for us regarding financial matters or retirement planning, wealth management, please contact us in the comments below, and both Rich and I will respond. We really want to hear from you about what your thoughts are. And as we always do, as you laugh at, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more Heart of the Matter videos, we publish one every Wednesday at 1:30. So I'd love for you to subscribe and follow us and ask legal questions that we can answer. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, did it go blank?
No, I wanted you to see.
You want to see me? I didn't know what you were
Does that
talking
go the
about.
way you wanted it to?
Yeah, that's fine.
That work?
I wanted you to, when it kicked off, like, I wanted you to watch to see, like, as it went off, so you knew to sit still until.
Oh, okay. I got it. I didn't know what the hell you're doing. I was like, I thought you were saying it's off or something.
That's all right.
No, bro.
I'm glad I could be your technical difficulty.